नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Sorry, my health is not good. Please bear with me. नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रिये. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय. पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः. आनंद लीलामय विग्रहाय हेमा दिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रस प्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते. मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरम्. Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you once again for your wonderful association. So I was told that I have to speak on the 9th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Bhishma Stuti, the passing away of Bhishma Dev. So I believe that you are all in the continuation of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. That is, you studied from the very first chapter. So yes, Srimad Bhagavatam has to be studied very nicely. It has been explained in Srimad Bhagavatam only in the second canto. Shunvatam Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swachestatam Kalena Na Ati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. The way of reading and studying Srimad Bhagavatam is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam itself. That one has to shunvatam, one has to listen, hear Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention. This is not something mundane that is discussed here. You all are sparing your valuable time, your 1 hour time. So that has to be spent in very nicely by hearing it with your open ears. And then you have to do it with Shraddha. You have to have faith that whatever I'm hearing and is actually true, is actually good. So that also depends, that also the responsibility lies on the speaker, that the speaker also speaks only and only through Shastras. Sorry. Only then the faith can be arised in the heart of the listeners. And the listeners should also hear with the faith. Then it has to be heard nityam. You have to study, you have to hear Bhagavatam nityam, at least once in a day. So we should have this habit of reading, of studying Srimad Bhagavatam, not reading like a newspaper, but we should study Srimad Bhagavatam nityam on a daily basis. But just hearing with faith and studying and daily, will it help? It will, but 100% result will not come out. Then it says, Shraddhaya, Shunvatam Shraddhaya Nityam, Grinatas, you have to grahan karna hai. You have to accept, you have to imbibe the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in your life. And how can you do that? Swachestita means by your own endeavor. You have to put your endeavor to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, to apply the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam in your own life. Then what will happen? The result is being given. Kalena na ati dirghena. Dirghena means that after a very long time. Kala means time. So ati dirghena means after a very, very long time. But Bhagavatam says na ati dirghena means in a very short time. The prefix na has been added. So kalena na ati dirghena means in a very short time. What will happen? Bhagavan vishate hriti. Bhagavan will manifest in the heart of a devotee. And anything that is mentioned in the Shastras should not be taken as an arthavad. We should not think it's mere an exaggeration. Rather, it will happen. It is going to happen. But the thing is that we have to have faith. We have to have Shraddha. So having said that, in glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam, now we will give a quick overview of what is happening in this chapter, that is chapter number 1.9. And I was told that I'm supposed to give only an overview of the entire chapter because this Bhishma Stuti is so deep that every verse can be spoken for an hour. Every verse is so important that we can say about this verse for at least 1 hour, one verse. And now here we have so many verses, so definitely it will be a quick overview only. But before that, actually it has been mentioned that this Bhishma Stuti that comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it comes in the first canto, the very first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, the very first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, although it is just the beginning portion of the book, but Srila Vedavyas has written in such a way that the first canto itself presents a highly elevated subject matter. Like the first 3 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam glorify Bhakti Yoga and they glorify Bhagavan Shri Krishna and also the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam as a wonderful scripture has been described in the first 3 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the next 3 chapters describes the glorious conversation that happened between Srila Vyasadeva and Srila Narad Muni. And then how Srimad Bhagavatam, which is actually eternal, but it came and appeared in the world for all of us, for all mere mortal souls like us, Srimad Bhagavatam appeared. And this Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the literal incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. Then the next chapter, that is chapter number 7 onwards, is being described the pastime of Parikshit Maharaj, basically the appearance of Parikshit Maharaj, how Ashwathama, who was the son of Drona, he was punished, and then how Parikshit Maharaj was saved from the womb of Mother Uttara, and how he came into being. Then the 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam is the most glorious and most celebrated and highly commented by our acharyas. That is the prayers of Srimati Kunti Maharani. Devotee seeks a lot of great inspiration after studying this chapter. But then what happened is the start of the 9th chapter. That is the passing away, the glorious passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the presence of Lord Shri Krishna. So at the end of the 8th chapter, what happens is King Yudhishthir, he was enthroned as the king of Hastinapur. He was the son of Dharmaraj. But still, he was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed by the death of his friends, of his relatives, of his cousins. And He was very much aggrieved like a common materialistic man. And he was so much aggrieved because of the death of all his friends, cousins, relatives, that it was very difficult to convince him. Like so many sages like Vyasadev and Bhauma Rishi, so many rishis came, so many sages came to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj. But it was very hard. What to talk about the sages? Even Lord Krishna was not able to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj was thinking that, oh, because of me, just to enthrone me, the king of this world, so many brahmanas, so many villagers, so many friends, so many preceptors and brothers have been killed. He says, I may live for millions of years, but still I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me from these sins. I request the devotees can mute. Yeah, thank you so much. If you have any questions in between, you can always raise your hand. So he said that it's so hard for me that I will be the one who will be bearing all these sinful reactions to what has happened. So, in the beginning of the chapter, in the beginning of this chapter, now Sutta Goswami mentions that how Maharaj Yudhishthir, just to establish him as the king, being afraid of having killed so many devotees, so many people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he went at the scene of that massacre where Bhishma Dev was lying on the bed of arrows. And all the brothers also followed him. And even Krishna also followed. He was about to leave to Dwarka, but when he heard that this has been the condition of Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was on the chariot of Arjun, and they both also left for that place of Kurukshetra, where Bhishma Dev was lying on the deathbed. Many sages from all over the place they came. They were including like Krishna. Krishna himself was there, Ved Vyas was there, Dhaumya Rishi was there, Parvata Rishi, Narada Muni, Angira Muni, Kashyapa Rishi, Sukhdev Goswami was also there, Atri Muni, Gautama, Bhardwaj, Parshuram. There were many who came. And even Krishna, as I told, that he also came on the chariot of Arjuna. Now, seeing him, Bhishma, who was lying on the bed of arrows, and Sutta Goswami explains that he was simply lying like a demigod who has fallen from the sky. So, all the brothers, they also came near to Bhishma Dev and they all bowed down to him, including Lord Shri Krishna. And Bhishma Dev welcomed them with sweet words and expressions. So now this is also a learning point that Srila Prabhupada mentions and the purport for all of us, that how when Vaishnavas come to our home also, we should really greet them nicely. So three things are very important that we should do when the Vaishnavas come. We have to welcome them very heartily. It is an offense not to feel happy on seeing a Vaishnava. One of the offenses this also. So we have to be very careful. We have to welcome them heartily. And first of all, we have to offer them a seat. The very first thing is that we have to offer them seat to sit. Then we have to offer the glass of water. We have to offer the water to Vaishnavas. And the third thing is that we have to offer our sweet words also to Vaishnavas. So these things are very important. But in the case of Bhishma Dev, because he was lying on the bed of arrows, he could not heartily welcome them by standing and by folding his hands. He cannot do that. It was unable because of the time that Bhishma was to welcome and receive all the sages and Lord Shri Krishna and receive them physically, because he was not in his home and neither he was in his normal healthy condition. But so he cannot offer the glass of water also. But he can always offer the sweet words because he was very conscious, he was very sound in his mind. And therefore, he uttered very sweet and hearty words of expression words, and all of them were very well received by Bhishma Dev. So imagine if a person like Bhishma Dev, who was on the death of bed, who was on the bed of arrows, he was not on the bed of roses, he was on the bed of arrows, still he was able to greet everybody. So we are in such a healthy and physical state, we can also offer our hearty expressions when the Vaishnavas come to our home. Now, after that, seeing Pandavas silent, overwhelmed with affection, Bhishma, then he began to speak. So, what Bhishma Dev said. So, Bhishma, he pacifies Yudhishthir Maharaj because he knows that Yudhishthir Maharaj is very much overwhelmed with grief. So, he pacifies Yudhishthir Maharaj and he says, Aho kashtam aho anyanyam yam yadyuyam dharmanandana jiveto narata klishtam vipra dharmachuta ashraya. So what Bhishma says, Aho kashtam. Oh, what terrible kasht, what terrible sufferings have come upon you. Anyayanam. And not only that, you have bear the terrible injustice that has done to you. Because we know that right from the beginning, there were so many injustices that were done to Pandavas. But what Pandavas did, they were simply tolerating. They were tolerating, taking into account that all this is by the will of the providence. So this is also the mode of a devotee. But Bhishma Devi says, Aho kashtam, aho anyayam. Matlab means that how much terrible anyay. Anyay means injustice has been done to you. Yad yuyam dharma nandana. Yet you all are yuyam. You are all great souls. You are all good souls. And you are yourself is a son of religion personified. You are dharma nandana. You are the son of Dharmaraj. Jivitum na arthata klishtam. And to remain alive, you don't deserve to all these, you don't deserve to bear all these sufferings. Klishtam means suffering. You don't bear, but still you were able to tolerate. Then Bhishma Dev says, actually you were able to tolerate these kind of sufferings, these kind of injustice that was done to you because of the Vipra, because of the Brahmanas, because you have always pleased the Brahmanas. So Brahmanas have blessed you, because of which you were able to bear this, tolerate these problems, these sufferings, these injustice that were coming on your way. And then another thing is dharma, because you have never left the path of dharma. You are always performing pious activities, dharmic activities. So this dharma has also protected you. Sorry. And the last, Bhishma Dev says, Achyuta Ashraya. And because you have always taken the Ashraya, the shelter of Bhagwan Achyuta, of Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So Bhishma Dev said, Oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive. Jivatum nartha means you were not deserved to remain alive. So many plans were made just to kill you. And yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, by the Dharma, religion, and by the Supreme Lord, because you have taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. And then he says, even Kunti Maharani greatly suffered due to the death of her husband Pandu. And she also has to raise children. She has to raise all of you as a single mother. And she also suffered even when you were grown up, because constant injustices were happening to you. Then he says, Oh, Yudhishthir, try to understand. Actually, it is the inevitable time to be blamed, just like the wind controls the cloud. So we have seen when there are so many clouds, the clouds cannot be stationary. They are always moving by the pressure of the wind. just in the direction the wind is moving, the clouds are supposed to move. They are so much dependent upon the wind. Similarly, Bhishma Dev saying that it is actually the inevitable time that is causing this problem, because because the time is the controller under whose control everyone in every planet is carried. It's because of the time factor. Just as the clouds are being carried by the wind, similarly it is due to that inevitable time that you have to undergo these kind of sufferings. Now, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was the direct incarnation of Dharmaraj. And so he doesn't have any prarabdha karma. What to talk only about Yudhishthir Maharaj? Even Bhima, he was also the Vayuputra. Arjun, who had carrying a Gandiva, he was Indraputra. And Krishna was always there as a well-wishing friend for them. So how can uh, there could be a prarabdha karma for all of them? So definitely there was no prarabdha karma. But then it is said that, okay, if there is no prarabdha karma, still the reversals were there in their life. So that cannot be prarabdha karma, okay. But then he says that actually time is also not for you. Then he rejects his own statement. He said, even the time, because Krishna is always there with you, and Krishna says, Kalo Asmi. Krishna says, I am time. And Krishna is always a well wisher friend for all of them. But then what is the reason? Then he says, actually, it is Krishna's plan. It was Krishna's plan that you have to undergo these kind of injustices. You have to undergo these kinds of sufferings. And even the great philosophers, they are bewildered that they also cannot accept the plan of Krishna. So Bhishma says that how can there be reversals in the presence of Yudhishthira and the Pandavas? So final conclusion, Bhishma says that it is actually the plan of Krishna. So he told Yudhishthira Maharaj, you have to accept this plan and obey it and take the responsibility of being the master of the citizens. So this way, he convinced Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bhishma Dev convinced Yudhishthir Maharaj that you have to accept it, the plan, and obey it and take the responsibility of it. So here we have to understand that actually it's Krishna only who has orchestrated everything in the life of the Pandavas. It's Krishna's plan. But no one can know. No one can know the plan of Krishna. It's only Krishna who knows what he is doing. He is inconceivable. And after saying this, then then Bhishma Dev actually he says, uh, this Bhishma Dev then glorifies Krishna. He glorifies Lord Sri Krishna, that he says that you have to understand that it is the plan of Krishna, and this Krishna is not an ordinary mere mortal soul like you and me. He is great. And then he quotes this verse and he says, Esha vai Bhagavan Sakshat Adyo Narayana Puman Mohayan Mayaya Lokam Godascharati Vrishnishu. So he says that this Bhishma Dev then glorifies Krishna. From verses 18 to 24, he actually glorifies Krishna. And he said, this Bhagavan, this personality whom you see in front of your eyes, you are seeing him face to face. This is not an ordinary mere mortal soul. Esha vai Bhagavan Sakshat. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is Sakshat Bhagavan. He is Adyo Narayana. He is the first. He is the Narayana who lies on the water. He is the supreme Lord. He is the Puman. He is the supreme enjoyer. Mohayan Mayaya Lokam, under the influence of Maya, because Maya is bewildering us. So, and under the influence of Maya, this Bhagavan is actually due to his inconceivable energy. Gudas Charati Vrishnishu. He is just moving among the Vrishni dynasty. He is just moving under the Vrishni dynasty. But we are able to see him, but we are not able to recognize him. And this is all because of his inconceivable energy. So this Sri Krishna is no other than the inconceivable, original, supreme personality of Godhead. He is the first Narayan, the supreme enjoyer, but he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni, just like one of us, and he is bewildering us with his self-created energy. But this Krishna is Eshohi Bhagavan Sakshad. So Bhishma Dev recognized Krishna, and thus he says this. And then he says, this is not just my thoughts. Actually, the great Mahajans like Lord Shiva, Narada, the sages among the demigods, the Kapila, the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, all know him confidentially about his glories, though through direct contact. So they know, but we are out of ignorance. We are under ignorance. We are out of ignorance, thought him to be our maternal cousin, friend, messenger, benefactor, our counselor. We took so many services from Krishna, but actually he is Bhagavan Sakshat. And then after speaking this way, he glorifies, he says, actually, Krishna is faultless. Krishna is faultless, but he is so much inclined to his devotees. He is so merciful that, see, now he is here in front of me, in front of my eyes, before I am ending my life. So this way he says that this Krishna is faultless. He has faultless qualities. He is Sarva Atmana. He is present in everybody's heart as Paramatma. He is Samadrisha. He is equal to everyone. And he is Anahankar means ahankar means false ego, but ana ahankarita means he is devoid of all kind of false ego and he is absolute. And because he is samadarshana, because of this quality that he's equal to everyone, now he has appeared very mercifully. He has come in front of me where I am ending my life. But then our acharyas mention that why it is so, what was so special that Bhishma Dev did. And then it has been explained that it is because of the power of bhakti. It is because of the power of bhakti that the Supreme Lord himself becomes the sold out servant to his devotees. Though Krishna is being categorized as Swarat in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, that he is Swarat, he is Abhigna Swarat, he is cognizant as well as he is independent. But that same Krishna says that I become the sold out servant, those who perform bhakti, unalloyed devotional service towards me. And because of this power of bhakti, Krishna takes out his most magnanimous feature, that is his bhakta vashyata. He becomes controlled by his devotees. Aham bhakta paradhina. Krishna says in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that Aham bhakta paradhina. I become dependent on the will of my devotees. So bhakta vesha mano yasmin vacha yannama kirtayan tyajan kalevaram yogi munchate kama karma bhi. This is the power of bhakti. Bhaktya mano yasmin. When somebody's mind is 100% absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna without any distraction, without any deviation. Vacha yan nama kirtana. And somebody through his vak shakti, through his speech shakti performs the glorification of the Supreme Lord or the chanting of his name, his gun, his naam, his roop, his leela, then tyajan kalevaram yogi, then that devotee, that person, after quitting his material body, munchate karma, kama karma bhi, then that person immediately gets released. Munchate immediately gets released from all kind of fruitive activities. This is the power of bhakti, and that's what Bhishma Dev spoke. that the personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name releases the devotee from the bondage of the fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material world. So now Bhishma Dev is not saying that I have that power of bhakti, but he is saying that this is actually the power of bhakti. And therefore, with his folded hands, he prays, may that Supreme Lord, who is that four-handed form and whose beautifully decorated lotus face with eyes as red as the rising sun, and who has such a beautiful smita smiling, kindly await me at that moment when I quit this material body. So, with folded hands, he is praying to Lord Krishna that you are so attractive, your eyes are so attracted, your face is so attracted. Now you please await for me when I quit this material body. So, this way, Bhishma Dev is praying. He's saying that please pray. Now, we have to understand, because sometimes, under some circumstances, devotees are normally misunderstood by the common people. Especially in the case of Bhishma Dev, there are so many things that come up in the mind of people, in the mind of devotees, that how he can tolerate the Vastraharan of Draupadi, how he can tolerate the injustice done to the Pandavas. So people, they try to misunderstand. So actually, Krishna wants to reveal the glories of the devotees when the right time comes. So Krishna actually orchestrates all these plans. So Krishna made Bhishma the instrument. Imagine, so many great sages were present at that time. What to talk about the sages? Even the Supreme Lord Krishna was present. But still, Krishna made Bhishma Dev to be the main orator, where he was the one who gave this philosophical class to convince Yudhishthir Maharaj. That Yudhishthir Maharaj, who was not convinced by any of the sages, even by Lord Krishna, Bhishma Dev made him the instrument among all the exalted Vaishnavas to speak and pacify Maharaj Yudhishthir. So then the question comes, actually, why Bhishma has to fight from the other side? Why Bhishma has to fight? So, yes, there are many reasons, but our Acharya has mentioned this reason, that Bhishma fought from the other side because Krishna wanted to show this important lesson to the entire humanity, that however great and powerful you may be, however exalted you may be, but if you take the side of adharma, then you have to be defeated. So, this is the nature of Krishna. Krishna makes his devotees only the instrument to teach the humanity, entire humanity. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, also it has been mentioned that Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Priya Bhakta Dware Annera Dilena Shiksha Ehita Prakare. So Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu also, through his Priya Bhakta, through his Nij Janas, through his own Janas, through his own Bhaktas, he put them in such a situation where they give lessons for the entire humanity. Annera dilena shiksha eita prakare. This way he teaches the entire world by how to be and how not to be. So both the things, to be, how to behave, and how not to behave, both of the things are being explained by these devotees who are there on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And they are all devotees of Lord Shri Krishna. When somebody reads the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the pastime of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj comes. Now, both are devotees of Krishna. Hiranyakashipu is also a personal associate of Krishna. But through Priya Bhakta Dware Annera Dilena Shiksha Ehita Prakare. The entire world Krishna cautioned how you should not be like Hiranyakashipu and how you should be like Prahlad Maharaj. So this way, The character of Bhishma Dev is also very, very misunderstood, but we have to understand that Bhishma Dev is also a great devotee. He is one of the Mahajan. He is the great devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore he was used as an instrument in the service of the plan that was orchestrated by Krishna. So this is the thing that even Prabhupada mentions, so I want to highlight that. Now, Bhishma Dev then instructs Yudhishthir Maharaj. He instructs him on the various topics. He instructs him about Varnashrama, about Vairagya, about Raga, about Dharma, about Dan Dharma, Raj Dharma, Stri Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma, because all these dharmas are supposed to be known by a person who is going to rule the entire kingdom. The entire world was under the reign of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So he needs to know everything. Therefore, he instructed on various topics, which is not in detail mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, but on a very surface level, it has been mentioned. Then Bhishma Dev also instruct him about the four Purusharthas, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. This was also instructed to Yudhishthir Maharaj. And then what happened is that while Bhishma Dev was describing this Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha to Yudhishthir Maharaj, immediately at that time, the auspicious time of Uttarayan came. So Uttarayan is actually a time when the sun enters into the northern hemisphere. So in the entire 1 year of earthly planet, there are 12 months. So 6 months is when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, and 6 months when the sun is in the southern hemisphere. So when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, it is known as Uttarayana. And when the sun is in the southern hemisphere, it is known as Dakshinayana. Now, I don't know how many of you have already studied Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, it has been mentioned that anyone who leaves the body during that Uttarayana, during that 6 months, which normally starts with Margashirsha, the Sankrant, the Sakranti comes, right, in the month of January. So at that time, it has been said that the sun enters into northern hemisphere. So right now, the Dakshinayana time is going on. In January, on 14th, I think so, 13th, 14th, depends upon the time, the Uttarayan happens. And then it stays till July. And then again, after that, Dakshinayan starts. So Bhagavad Gita explains that those yogis, because yogis, they have this power to leave their body as per their will. And these yogis, they have the pran. We all have pranavayu, right? We have the pranavayu, and these yogis are able to hold their pranavayu. So the pranavayu from the Mooladhara chakra, that is from the down, then they raise their pranavayu up till the Agna chakra, means there are so many chakras in between. They finally come to the Agnya chakra, that is between the eyebrows, and then they raise that pranavayu to the Sahasradhara chakra, that is the upper portion of the skull, and that gets opened and they leave their body from this portion. So, and the yogis have this because of their mystic powers, because of their so much of meditation, they develop this one of the mystic power where they can leave the body whenever their time comes and from wherever they want. So, and this way, the yogis wait for Uttarayan to leave their body. And Bhagavad Gita also explains that it is a very auspicious time. It has been explained those who leave their body in Uttarayan time, actually, they don't come back. They just leave with one-way ticket. They don't come back. But we have to understand this, that it's not always like this, because some may be very sinful and happens to leave the body during Uttarayana, doesn't mean that he doesn't come back. So Prabhupada adds to it that he says that devotees actually don't care. They don't care when they leave their body. But what they care for is yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, that my smaran shakti should be towards Krishna when I leave this body. So that is the mood of a devotee. But Bhishma Dev, he is being told in the Srimad Bhagavatam that he waited for Uttarayana. And as he was explaining these Dharma Shastras to Yudhishthir, Bhishma Dev got this and got this, that sun has entered into northern hemisphere, and now he doesn't want to wait any further, and he took this opportunity to leave his body. Now, this topic is highly commented upon. I've searched for so many acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Sridhar Swami, who is the original commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who has also commented, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan has also commented, but none of the acharyas says uh, about this. They say that yes, what they say is that Bhishma Dev actually waited for Uttarayana, means the time when the sun enters into the northern hemisphere to leave his body. They all say the same thing. Now the question comes, being a devotee of Krishna, why Bhishma Dev has to wait for Uttarayana? He could have left his body there and there on the battlefield when Krishna was right in front of him. But Bhishma Dev knew well that there is some more service to be done by him. Krishna still has to use him for some service. So he held on to his life here and he didn't leave his body. Because just like the yogis, even Bhishma Dev has this power of leaving the body by his own will. From his father Maharaj Shantanu, he got this boon that he can leave. Ichha mrityu. He got this benediction, this vardhan, that he can leave his body as per his will, as per his desire. So Bhishma Dev could have left his body even before the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he was tied with another vow that till the time he didn't see his Hastinapur to be secured in the hands of a pious religious king, he will not leave his body. So he has to wait for that. And as soon as the sun entered into Uttarayana, he took this opportunity to leave this body. Now, this is what is all our Acharya says. Another thing they mentions is because he has an Ichha Vrityu Vardhan, because he has the benedictions of leaving his body at his own will, so he thought, why not make the best use of it? Even though devotees can leave the body anytime, but as I said, Antakale chamameva smarana mukta kalevaram, that we have to do smaran, that smaran of Krishna should happen when I leave this body. That is the mood of a devotee. And that was the mood of Bhishma Dev also. So he could have left any time, but he wants no stone to be left unturned. So he said, I have this, why not wait for the best time? What's the harm? So he waited for Uttarayana. Now, some of the speakers I have also heard who spoke that Uttarayana actually is the name of Krishna also. Because Krishna, Uttarayana, Ayana means to take shelter. Like we have Narayana, who takes shelter of Nara. Nara means the water, who takes shelter of the water, who lies on the water. Nara also means the men all together. Nar means men, and Nara means the plural form of men, of all the people. So those men who take shelter of Vishnu, therefore he is known as Narayana. Similarly, he is also known as Uttarayana because he took shelter of Uttara's womb in order to save Parikshit Maharaj from that Brahmastra that was shot by Ashwathama. So he entered into the womb, and therefore he is known as Uttarayana. Another meaning, Uttara, when she got to know that the Brahmastra is approaching, she went and took shelter of Krishna. So Uttara taking shelter of Krishna, and therefore Krishna is also known as Uttarayana. So both the meanings. I hope you all got it. Just like Narayana, same like Uttarayana. So yes, Krishna's name one of the name is Uttarayana. So many speakers, especially in ISKCON, they say that Krishna was actually not waiting for the time Uttarayana, but he was waiting for a person Uttarayana to come. I don't want to say this because I cannot find any evidence for this. There is no Shastric Praman for this, that Bhishma Dev was waiting for Krishna, for a person Uttarayana. All acharyas, they have highly commented on this only, that actually Bhishma Dev was waiting for the time Uttarayana. Okay, because Krishna was there also right in front of Bhishma Dev, even in the battlefield. So anyways, I just want to mention, because maybe you can hear some others speaking on this, but at least I didn't find any Shastric reference for this. But because many people speak like this, therefore I thought that I can give you the glimpse of what it is, but there is no Shastric evidence. At least I couldn't find. In one place, in the one of the magazine of the Harmonist, it is not directly by Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but some other person have written about this thing, but I cannot take it as a Shastri. So what we will do is, we will take as per the Prabhupada words, what Prabhupada has mentioned and what our predecessors Acharyas have mentioned, that Bhishma Dev was actually waiting for the time Uttarayan to come, because he thought, I should left no stone unturned and I should not come back. So that was his mood, because he has that will, he has that benediction of leaving his body as per his own will. So this is what I want to say. So now, as soon as this Uttarayan began, the auspicious moments, then Bhishma Dev actually took this opportunity to leave, further convincing Yudhishthir Maharaj. Rather, what he did, he thought, now let me invest my thinking, my feeling, my willing, everything, all my senses to be engaged in the service of Krishna, in the all-powerful Krishna. Then what happened? He became fully satisfied. He uh, what he did is, thereupon the man who spoke on different subjects, he stopped speaking, and then completely freed from all bondage, he withdrew his mind from everything else, all the subject matters that he was explaining to Yudhishthir Maharaj. He withdrew everything, and then he fixed his mind wide open upon Lord Shri Krishna, who stood before him in the four-handed form, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. So Bhishma Dev saw Krishna at that time in a four-handed form. This also shows that Bhishma Dev ended in Vaikuntha planet, and we will see later. Then he started looking at Lord Shri Krishna, and he at once was freed. As soon as he started looking the beautiful, attractive face of Krishna, he got at once freed from all the material inauspiciousness and was relieved from all bodily pains that were caused by the arrow's wounds. Thus, all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendently to the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body. So now, from the verse number 32, the actual Bhishma Stuti starts. That Bhishma, he thought that I want to glorify Krishna. Before leaving this body, I don't want to take any chance, and let me glorify Krishna. And then he offered his heartfelt prayers. His heartfelt prayers he offered to Lord Shri Krishna. And this is what is known as Bhishma Stuti, that is from verse number 32. So he said, let me invest my feelings. Let me invest my thinking, my feeling, my willing on Sattvatam Pungava, means on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who sometimes descends to this world. त्रिभुवन काममं तमालवर्णं रविकर गौरवर अम्बरं दधाने वपुर अलका Kulavarthanabjam Vidya Sakheratirastu me Navadya. So this is a very beautiful verse that Bhishma Dev offers. And he says, Tribhuvana means all the three planetary systems, that is lower, middle, and upper planetary system. Kamamam, this is all very mostly desired by everybody. But this Tamal Varanam means Krishna, who is bluish, who has a bluish complexion like that of Tamala tree. And he Ravikara Gauravara Ambaram. His Ambaram means his dress was like a Ravikara, like a sun rays. It was glittering, it was very shining, as if the sun rays are there. Like it was yellow, Pitambar. He was Varambaram, he was wearing. And Dadhane, who wears, and his Vapu Akala. Vapur Alaka Kulavarthanabjam. And his Vapu, his body, was covered with what? Sandalwood pulp. And his face was, uh, his face was like a lotus face, was like an ambuja. And he has a soft, curly locks of hair that was falling down on his alaka. Alaka means his cheeks. So then he says, Vijaya Sakhe Ratirastu Vidya means without any further fruitive desires, I want to, I want to actually, may my rati should be imposed only on that form of Krishna who appeared to him as Vijaya Sakhe. Vijaya Sakhe means, Vijaya means the name, another name of Arjun. And Arjun's Sakha is Krishna. So that was the form that that Bhishma Dev saw when he saw Krishna. So he says, my thoughts, let me actually have Rati for Vijaya Sakha, who has a dark tamal tree-like body, glittering clothes, and lotus face surrounded by locks of hair. Then on the battlefield where Sri Krishna attended Arjun out of friendship, the flowing hair of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust that is raised by the hoofs of the horses. And because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows, were enjoyed by him. So let my mind thus go unto Lord Sri Krishna. So Bhishma Dev he took this opportunity to address Krishna as Vijaya Sakha. And he said, let my Rati be for Vijaya Sakha. And then Bhishma Dev saw Krishna because Bhishma Dev was in front. He was fighting on the side of the Kauravas. So he saw Krishna face to face because Bhishma Dev's chariot was in front of Krishna's chariot. Whereas Arjun was behind Krishna. Arjun was not able to have the darshan of Krishna constantly. But Bhishma Dev, unlike Arjun, he was always seeing the glorious face, the beautiful face of Krishna. And this verse actually explains that he is in Dasya. What happened? He is in Dasya Bhav, and his secondary rasa is his Veera rasa, because he was in the mood of chivalry. He was saying that I was throwing those sharp arrows on Krishna, and Krishna's body was getting wounded. But actually, our Rasik Acharyas explained that when Bhishma Dev was throwing the arrows and that was making the body of Krishna bleed, actually, it was Krishna feeling as if some another devotee is throwing some soft roses upon him. So this is how Krishna took the arrows of Bhishma Dev, like somebody is throwing roses. And the Lord enjoyed the wounds that was created by his great devotee Bhishma Dev. And because Bhishma Dev is a devotee in the chivalrous relationship, he fixed his mind on Krishna in that wounded condition. He was in that bhav, because his main sthai bhav of Bhishma Dev was of dasya bhav, but his secondary bhav was that of chivalry, that is Veera rasa, you can say. So then he expressed his desire. He expressed his desire to Krishna. He said, may I have this Rati for Parthasartha, Parthasakha, who shortened the lifespan of the warriors in the opposite party, because it has been explained that everyone who saw Krishna from the opposite party actually left for their eternal abode, because they were seeing Krishna while leaving the body. So, object of attraction, it is the lotus feet who dispels even Arjuna's ignorance. So he says, Bhishma Dev says that actually Arjuna, who's such a great devotee, his confusion, his ignorance was also eradicated by Krishna, because Krishna gave that transcendental knowledge in the form of Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna decided and refused to fight, at that time, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna. So Bhishma Dev is praying, may I have that Rati for Parth Sakha. Again, he is relating Krishna to Parth, to Arjun only, but also it has been mentioned because Arjun was very dear to Bhishma Dev. So he's seeing everything in every relation of Krishna in terms of Arjun. So he says, may my attraction be at Charanarati, at the lotus feet of that Parthasarthi. Who? That Parthasarthi who sacrificed his promise also to fulfill my desire and save his friend. He ran towards me while the earth shook and his upper garment fell on the ground. So we also know that how Krishna took a vow in the battlefield of Kurukshetra that I will not pick up any weapon. So now there is another pastime that is also shared in Prabhupada's purport. You all can read that how, I'll just give you a glimpse of it, that how Duryodhan actually blamed Bhishma Dev, that you are being partial and you are not killing Pandavas. And Bhishma Dev said, if that is the so, then these are my 5 arrows, and tomorrow I'm going to kill all the 5 Pandavas. And this Duryodhan was so happy, so elated. He said, oh grandfather, now I cannot trust you any further. Let me take these 5 arrows, keep it in my camp, and tomorrow morning I will give you. Bhishma Dev said, okay. But Krishna has its own plan. Krishna that night sent Arjun in the camp of Duryodhan, and he said, go and take those arrows. And finally, those arrows were given to Arjun. And next day, Bhishma Dev asked Duryodhan, give me my arrows. Today I'm going to annihilate all these 5 Pandavas. And he said, no, Arjun has taken last night only. And then Bhishma Dev understood that this is all Krishna, because it's Krishna who knows everything. He is the Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. So he said, actually, Krishna tricked, and he said, today, okay, those 5 arrows are gone. But I will fight such a tremendous war that today I will make Krishna break his promise. And that's what happened. He was fighting with Arjun so furiously that finally Krishna broke his promise and took up the chariot wheel, and he ran after Bhishma Dev. Therefore, another name of Krishna is also Rathangapani, who took the wheel of the chariot just to kill Bhishma Dev. And seeing Krishna breaking his promise, Bhishma Dev folded his hand in the middle of the battlefield, and he said, that's what I wanted. I just have a desire to make you break your promise. And therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also that I am known to break my promise. Therefore, Kauntaya pratijani name bhakta pranishyati. Therefore, O Kauntaya, you declare that my devotees will never perish. Because if I'll say so, then people will talk about this pastime and they'll say, oh, Krishna is saying, well, he is famous to break his promise. So we don't trust. But if promise is made by a devotee of Krishna, then Krishna makes it possible, and Krishna makes it assured that that promise is fulfilled. So sacrificing his own promise and to fulfill the desire of Bhishma Dev and to save his friend, he ran towards me while the earth was shaking, and he was not even worried about his garment which was falling on the ground. So he says, let my Rati towards me with Parthasarthi. Then he says, not only the Rati, let my Gati, means my destination, be also towards Mukunda. That Mukunda who rushed towards Me, when his whole body was covered by the blood because of the arrows that I have shot on him. So Rati for Partha Sarthi, whip in right, reins in left hand, carefully protecting Arjuna and awarding liberation to those who died in the battlefield. So this was the mood of Bhishma Dev. So we know that how the Supreme Lord is there in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma. But that form of Paramatma is different from a devotee to devotee. Because Bhishma Dev saw him as Parthasarthi. The gopis will see him as Shama Sundar. Mother Yashoda will see him as Lal Gopal. So this is the mood of a devotee. The mood of a devotee sees the different form of Paramatma in their heart. Though the Paramatma is same in the heart of every living entity, but because of their bhav, because of their devotion, they have the different form which they perceive in their heart. So then Krishna asked, okay, so do you think that it's only the Arjun who was being awarded this mood? Actually, the prema that you desire, it's only the Arjun who was the actual benefactor of that prema. Is he the best among all the associate with prema? And then Bhishma Dev said, he glorifies the gopis also. He said, actually, the gopis are more exalted because they are binding you. They have been blinded them. It means Krishna has blinded the gopis in the madness of his own love. So after Rasalila dance, when Krishna left, the gopis were blinded with the love of Krishna and they were running hither and thither. And the beautiful song of separation by the gopis is the classic example for this, that how they were maddened in love of Krishna. So Bhishma took this opportunity to glorify the gopis also. And then he said that in my presence, I personally saw that how these sages actually worshipped Krishna in the Rajasuya Yagya. So he was worshipped by the great sages. Then he says, now let me meditate on that Krishna who is present in everyone's heart, who's present in everyone's heart. Now let me meditate on that Krishna. Now his mind, speech, sight, and his actions, all absorbed in Krishna, Bhishma Dev became silent and he stopped breathing. So finally, our Bhishma Dev, he left his body with his mind, with his speech, because his mind was 100% absorbed. His speech was 100% absorbed because he offered such a glorious prayers. His sight, his vision, he was seeing Krishna, who was appearing in front of him as a four-handed form, and his all actions were absorbed only in Krishna. Thank you. Please give me few more minutes and I will end. I know it must be too much for you to handle. So please give me a few more minutes. And then he became silent and finally he stopped breathing. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, then he became the king. Everyone understood. Bhishma Dev departed. So Prabhupada mentions that he enters the Parthasarthi Loka. It is in Vaikuntha planet. And then everyone became silent. Men and demigods, they sounded kettle drums. Flowers were showered from the sky by the demigods. Maharaj Yudhishthir performed the final rites for Bhishma Dev. He consoled Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. And then he also glorified the sages, they glorified Krishna. And finally, Yudhishthir Maharaj returned back to Hastinapur. And after coming back, taking the permission of Dhritarashtra, taking the permission of Krishna, he ruled the kingdom according to Dharma. So this was the entire pastime. So I'll just quickly summarize. We talked about how Bhishma Dev pacifies Yudhishthir Maharaj and encourages the Pandavas. Then finally, Bhishma Dev glorifies Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord and establishes that everything that happens in the life of a devotee is actually the plan that is being orchestrated by Krishna himself. Then Bhishma Dev instructs Yudhishthir Maharaj on various subject topic, on various dharma topics. But then when he saw that the sun has entered Uttarayana, he took this opportunity to relax himself and take his mood, take his absorption from instructing Yudhishthir Maharaj to glorifying Krishna. And that was Bhishma Dev's final moments. He offers beautiful prayers and finally he departs. So thank you all so much. This is a beautiful section. I know I was not able to do justice to this section because I was given only an hour. It still took more than an hour, but please forgive me. But I'll highly recommend every one of you, please go through this chapter, read Srila Prabhupada purports. He has written brilliant purports. I tried to put all the major points in the presentation, but still there is much more to it. And I'm pretty sure when you will read yourself, many more further nice realizations also will come to your heart. Having said that, we'll stop here. Thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhishma Deva ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, all the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai.
Very wonderful class. You took us to the scene. So we were immersed. It's a very heart-touching class. So any devotees has any questions about this wonderful custom? Yes, Nijendra Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Really, as Gopi Prabhu said, it's sometime, we thought that, okay, we are in the middle of battlefield and we are realizing the same instance. Thank you very much. Mataji, you told that, it all the Krishna's plan to, do all these, initially injustice with these Pandavas and, all these troubles in his life and all those. Because, I mean, one thought, what I feel that, okay, they want to give a lessons to us that, okay, how in every situations we have to surrender on, I mean, despite of all those disgurs and problems, still you have to surrender to the God, the Supreme Head Krishna. But do we have any evidential proof? I mean, to all these that okay, this was the Krishna's plans and so on.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So first of all, I would say because you were able to envision the pastime, it is because of your sincerity. Because you all were hearing with rapt attention, and therefore you, by the mercy of Krishna, were transported to the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So all credit goes to all of your sincerity. Nothing belongs to me. I was just simply reading Srila Prabhupada's purport and, of course, the presentation. Regarding your second question that you asked, is that is there any evidence? So, yes, Prabhupada has mentioned in one of his purport that, of course, there cannot be any prarabdha karma for Yudhishthir Maharaj, for Bhima, for Pandava, for Arjun, for Nakul and Saidev, means all the Pandavas, because they were not ordinary mere mortal souls like you and me. We all know that how they appeared by the mantric power that Kunti Maharani uttered, and she was blessed with Durvasa Muni. And they were the sons of these different demigods like Indra, Vayu, Dharmaraj, and Ashwini Kumaras. So definitely they don't have any prarabdha karma. And even the time factor cannot we cannot blame time also in their case, because Krishna says, Kalavasmi, I am time, and Krishna was there with them 24/7, always. So then what is left is that we have to understand that it is Krishna's plan only. And yes, Prabhuji, actually being a sadhaka, we all are in the sadhaka deha, we all are sadhakas. It is better for us also that we should understand that whatever good happens, we should understand that this is Krishna's plan. And whatever bad happens in our life, we should take it as our prarabdha, our karmic reactions. But even though if it is our karmic reactions, we should try to surrender those karmic reactions also to Krishna, understanding that it's Krishna who is the controller of everything. See, if Krishna, if suppose I give you the example, if somebody hurt us, who has the power to hurt us unless and until it is being sanctioned by Krishna? So the Paramatma in the heart of that devotee has sanctioned, and that's why that devotee has become an instrument to hurt me. So ultimately, it's Krishna only. So ultimate cause is Krishna. Now, immediate cause is that another devotee who has harmed us. So our ardent prayer to Krishna should always be, "O Krishna, never ever make me an instrument where I hurt somebody physically or through my words." That should be our ardent prayer. Oh Krishna, never ever should be the time where I become the instrument. Because for Krishna to give us the reactions of our karmic reactions, somebody has to become an instrument. So we should pray, Krishna, please don't make me that instrument where I have to harm somebody physically or through my speech or through my words. Rather, make me an instrument to enhance others' spiritual life. That should be the mood. And the person who has suffered that insult or who has suffered that criticism should also think that all these people are merely uh, an instrument, but actually this is all coming from my Lord only. And if my Lord has put me in this situation, that means even it is because of my karmic reactions, but I am bearing this because Krishna wants to teach me. He wants to teach me and give me some life lesson so that I can improve my life. So that way we should take this, because any other way will further spoil our karmic reactions. So we don't want to further increase our bank balance of our actions and reactions. So whatever we should take it as the plan of Krishna, understanding that either Krishna wants to teach me some lesson or Krishna wants to show me something or something good is going to come out. This way we have to tolerate. And the more we tolerate, the more we become the adhikari of having Krishna's anukampa. That has also been explained. Hope it helps, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Naveen.
Naveen Prabhu and Tulsi Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful explanation, Mataji. Your lectures makes our heart very smooth, and it will make a motivation towards bhakti, towards Supreme Lord. So my question is, Mataji, in the last moments of Bhishma Dev, you have explained that Bhishma Dev has thrown arrows towards Krishna, and Krishna got hurt, and the blood was bleeding actually. So Krishna, being a charioteer in the Mahabharata war, the great archers, the great Chakravartis, or the generals, they are not supposed to throw arrows on the charioteers, right? They have to face even what do you say? The Bhishmacharya has to plead war against Arjuna, right? Why he throw weapons towards Krishna, and being in Krishna avatar, Krishna in Rama avatar, Krishna, that is Rama, shows his godly nature in few occasions, whereas in Krishna avatar he eventually showed in all the aspects that I am the God, because in the childhood he killed so many demons, asuras, and he shows Vishwarupa, everything. Why after throwing the weapons towards Krishna, why the blood was coming, and then why Bhishmacharya threw weapons against Lord Krishna?
Very good. Thank you, Prabhu. So what happens, Prabhu? It was not like you said that a Maharathi should not throw arrows on the Sarathi. The fight was between Yudhishthir and Arjun. Sorry, between Bhishma and Arjun. So why Bhishma Dev? So while fighting, Prabhu, what happens? Because this fight was not an ordinary fight. Okay, and the arrows were also not coming one by one. There were series of arrows that were thrown, and out of those series, there were many arrows that were harming Krishna. So that is one of the point that we have to understand. It was not a deliberate shooting arrows on Krishna, but it was because it was the series of arrows that were thrown, because that day was the fierce battle that Bhishma Dev took a vow in front of Duryodhan that, okay, your 5 arrows are gone. Now I cannot kill the Pandavas, but the war will be very fearsome today. And in his heart, he thought that today I will make Krishna break his promise also. So this is the reason that Krishna's body was wounded. Now you can say that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His body, even in the mortal world, is Satchidananda. How come the blood was oozing out? So because Krishna was performing this Narvat Leela, therefore the blood was oozing out. It was not that Krishna's body is made up of blood cell, blood pus or fluid. No, his body was not. His body was still Satchidananda, even though he was in this mortal jagat, in this mortal world. But to show and doing his Narvat Leela, he wants to show, especially to Bhishma Dev, because the entire Mahabharat, nowhere it is mentioned that Krishna's body was wounded. Apart from that one single day where Bhishma Dev said that today I'm going to fight the fearsome battle and I'm going to practically kill the entire army of Pandavas. So that day was a special day, and Yudhishthira and Bhishma took this vow, and to fulfill the vow of Bhishma Dev, Krishna took the wheel of that chariot. And Krishna was showing that how even his body was bleeding. So I didn't mention in the class, but if you read Srila Prabhupada purports, actually Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has mentioned. I didn't feel like mentioning also, but it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, so I will say now that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually mentions that when Bhishma Dev was shooting arrows, some arrows were wounding Krishna also. But these arrows, of course, were like roses. But why the blood was coming out? Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that it is just like the biting of a fiancé. So when there is an extreme, intense desire for sex between the two opposite people, at that time, the bite of a fiancé looks very pleasurable to the lover. So that's how the arrows of Bhishma Dev was for Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions, and Prabhupada has stated this in his purport. So we have to understand in that line. And of course, yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but right now he was doing his Narvat Leela. That also we have to understand. That he was not showing that he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hope that helps, Prabhu.
Nicely explained, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Naveen Gubba Prabhuji.
Then Pranamam, Dandavat Pranamam Mataji. It was so touching and transported to really Kurukshetra. Your entire lecture transported us to Kurukshetra, and the Kurukshetra that always plays within us, between the mind and intellect, and also the soul within. I just want to, there's no question as such, because you touched on that it's the divine plan, the Leela. You just touched on, and people were asking questions, and you asked instrument, you touched on instrument. So I just felt it's like very, and it's all his Leela, and like what is the Praman that it's all his Leela. So I just wanted to quote the Bhagavad Gita, if you don't mind.
Of course, please.
Those sources, I just want to quote the Bhagavad Gita.
Please go ahead, Prabhu, please.
Yeah. So in the 11th chapter, I think Bhagavan says, he says, Tasmat tvam uttishta yashola bhatva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samruddham mayaivaite nihita purvameva nimitta matram bhavatavya sachin. You are just an instrument. And in the next stanza itself, he says, Dronam cha Bhishmam cha Jayatradam cha Karnam tatanyapi Yodha Viran Maya hatan tvam jahima vyatista yuddhasva jetasi rane sapatman. Maya, Drona, Bhishma, Jayatrada, Karna, everyone have been already killed. This is saying before everyone was killed, I have already killed them. Maya hatan, I have already killed them. Jahima vyatista, already killed. Without you being disturbed, just yuddhasva, you just fight. Just the Jetasi Rane Sapatman. And you said he is time, so just that sloka also It's very touching for me, so I just thought I will recite the shloka as well.
Yeah, so nice.
Kalosmi loka kshayakrit pravruddho lokan samahartumiha pravrutta. In the form of time, everything I will destroy everything. Ritepitvam na bhavishyanti sarve. Without your involvement itself, everything is done. Yevo sthita pratyanikeshu yoda. Dhanyosmi maka. So I just wanted to
Yeah,
chant
thank you.
these
Thank
shlokas.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for quoting that. Of course, yes, Krishna, Arjun was used as an instrument. And even Krishna told, Nimitra matram bhava savesachi, that you just act as an instrument. And if we all take that instruction to our heart, then we are all the instruments who are working in the hand of Krishna. So let us be that instrument, but not an instrument where we harm others. That is so difficult to bear. We should never be an instrument where Krishna makes us the instrument to bring others' downfall in their material or in their spiritual life. So that should be our ardent prayer. But thank you, Naveen Prabhu. You quoted it very nicely. Really appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Ajit Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam, Ajit Prabhu.
It was great discussion. Mataji, I have two questions. One was regarding like how Bhishma Pitamaha showed the arrow to Krishna, but it got answered through the Navin Prabhu's question. So it was not intention because of series of arrows, one-hearted. So another question I have, Mataji, regarding the Uttarayan and Dakshinan. As you mentioned, like Dakshinan, Uttarayan starts in January and somewhere in July. Then the Dakshinan is supposed to start in July and goes till somewhere in January. So during that time, this Kartik month, so it's supposed to be Dakshinan. How it was Uttarayan? So it's because of Yuga changes or how is it?
No. Who said? Kartik month is always in Dakshinayan, Prabhu.
Dakshinan. But Bhishma Pitamaha was waiting for Dakshinan or Uttarayan. He was waiting for
Uttarayan. He left his body after the sun entered into Uttarayan. It's not, don't confuse yourself that during Bhishma Panchak that we follow in Kartik, at that time Bhishma Dev left his body. No, that's a wrong understanding.
Okay. So basically,
Bhishma
he
Panchak is
left.
because, he did austerities even on the bed of arrows when he was during those Bhishma Panchak 5 days, and he did severe austerities. And therefore, these 5 days are known as Bhishma Panchak, where he offered all his prayers to Krishna, but it was not the time when he left his body. He left body way after.
Okay, so he waited for almost around 5 to
2
6
months.
months.
2 months.
2
Because
months, okay.
October, November comes Kartik, and then he left his body in January.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
By fortunate we heard this Bhishma Stuti from a great devotee from you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Mataji, I have two questions, Mataji. What is the meaning of Satvatam Punga? I saw like in the video. What exactly?
Satvatam Punga means one who is born in that Satvatam Kul. So one is the Kul, that is dynasty. One is Vrishni dynasty, which is also known as Satvatam Kule. That is the dynasty, the name of that dynasty.
Thank you so much, Mataji. And second question is, Bhishma Pitamaha is a great scholar and very knowledgeable. Why he was not able to follow real dharma? Because like I heard in the TV shows of Mahabharata and all, while war is going on, when he broke his promise, he was telling to Bhishma Pitamaha, Sri Krishna was telling, you did not follow real dharma. So why he was not able to follow that real dharma?
He was able to follow, Prabhuji. He was able to follow the real dharma, especially the TV serials. I'll highly recommend not to go through. If you really want to dive deep into the characters of Mahabharata, then read Srimad Bhagavatam or read the commentaries of our acharyas. That way we will get the real position and understanding of all these great leaders. Because as I already said, that Bhishma Dev position has been let down by so many people, but we should not think in that way. And Bhishma Dev, again, I'll tell that he was used as an instrument. Shri Krishna Prabhu, Priya Bhakta Dware, through his Priya Bhaktas only, Anyara Dilena Shiksha, Eite Prakare. He gives shiksha to others. That Bhishma Dev, no matter, you all can be so great, so exalted like Bhishma. But if you take the side of adharma, then you will be defeated. And that was the situation for Bhishma Dev. He was tied to his vow, to his dharma of taking vow that I will be tied to this throne till the time the righteous king is not enthroned. So he was tied to that throne because he gave this promise to his father Shantanu Maharaj that whosoever will be sitting on this throne, I will see you, I will see your image in that person. So this way Bhishma Dev was tied with the vow. Now he could have immediately left this vow, but he didn't. So another thing that Krishna wants to teach all of us, that when it comes to chaladharmas, upadharmas, taking this vow, that vow, well, the highest vow is the vow of Krishna consciousness. Sarv dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. When Krishna says, you have to follow no matter what. Even for Yudhishthir Maharaj, he never spoke lie. But when Krishna told Yudhishthir that you have to say that Ashwathama Hattyo, Ashwathama is died, then Yudhishthir Maharaj said, I cannot say that because I've never spoken lie. And then his chariot came down 5 inches. Actually, Yudhishthir Maharaj's chariot was above the ground. But as soon as he said, I cannot say lie, he rejected Krishna's order. Immediately his chariot came down. So Krishna says all your chaladharmas, upadharmas, they are secondary. When it comes to dharma, the only dharma is my dharma, following my orders, following my instructions. And therefore in Bhagavad Gita it says, Tarv dharman parityaja mam ekam sharan vraj. जो मेरी अनन्यता के साथ भक्ति करे, जो मेरे को माम एकम शरणम, मेरे ही केवल शरण में आए, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma shucha. I will take care of them. I'll take care all of their sinful reactions. Now see, Arjun was fighting this war. Pandavas were fighting this war. So many sinful reactions can incur to them. So many sinful reactions. If you kill one cockroach in your home, it has been mentioned that you have to bear the sin of killing that one worm, one insect, one fly, or one cockroach. You have to bear, no matter what. You have to bear. But there they are killing the Brahmanas, they are killing their gurus, they are killing their brothers, they are killing their relatives, but no sinful reactions. Why? Because Krishna says, सर्व धर्मान परित्यज, सब धर्मों को छोड़ के मेरे शरण में आ जाओ. Therefore he told Krishna, Arjun also, माम अनुस्मरण युद्ध चा, युद्ध करो, fight, but मेरा अनुस्मरण करके, means keep remembering me and keep dedicating this fight towards me, then all your sinful reactions will not be considered as sinful actions and it will not bear any further reactions. So to teach all this, Krishna uses his Priya Bhakta only, his devotees only, to teach these lessons to all of us, how to be and how not to be. Now we have to take lessons from all this, that what Bhishma Dev did, so much learned scholar, but still holding on to his vows and participated in that from the side of adharma. So we should learn from this. He wants to teach the lesson. You may be exalted and great Mahajan like Bhishma Dev, but if you follow all other vows except Krishna conscious vows, then you will be defeated because you are on the path of adharma. Hope that helps, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Very wonderful, Mataji. So
Already 11. Thank you,
Kala is not
Gopikant.
impacting us.
Yeah,
Kala
it
is
is.
not. Kala is not impacting us in front of Krishna Lila. So thank you so much. It's very wonderful. So whenever you come to New Jersey, so please give your physical association to
Sure,
all
sure.
our devotees.
Definitely.
Yeah, so please pray for all of our new congregation devotees should go further and
Yes, Prabhu.
become great devotees,
Definitely.
like
Under
expert
your directions, under your
under
instructions.
your great Vaishnavas. Everybody has to be firm grip on the scriptures like you. So please pray for us, and let's thank Kalindi. You want to add something?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept our most respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to His Holiness Bhakticharya Swami Maharaj. Thank you so much. I was hearing about your glories from past 6-7 years, but now today I had a good fortune to see you, to talk to you. Thank you so much, Mataji. And it's a very delighted, very enlightening, and we should hear this kind of very intricacies from the devotees like you only, Mataji. It is so nice and very enlivening. Thank you so much for your valuable time, because we took more than 1 hour around your valuable time. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Krishna Katha should go on and on, no problem at all. But I'll definitely accept whatever you say and pass on to my Gurudev, because without him, I'm nowhere. I'm nowhere. So whatever you feel good in this class, it is all coming from my Gurudev. What I heard, not only from him, but from other acharyas, from the readings, from the purports of Srila Prabhupada, all the credit belongs to all of them. So I'm nowhere to stand, but Krishna used me as an instrument, and especially Gopikanta Prabhu used me an instrument. So I'm really grateful to Gopikanta Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you all so much. Thank you.
Very much. Let's thank Mataji by saying Hari Bol 3 times, and then we'll chant 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra enthusiastically, and then we'll chant Vancha Kalpatarabhyasya and end of the class.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha
Kalpatarubyascha kripa
Kalpatarubyascha
Vidanam
Pavane Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. All the
Jai.
assembled Vaishnavas ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.